Cycle Rogue continues to be a strong deck even after the Playhouse Giant nerf. The idea of the deck now is that you are relying more on Incindius to push the extra damage if you really are needing to against an extra armor or health gain class. The Moonstone Mauler does provide quite a lot of damage along with Blood Mage Thalnos. The cards that you're looking to mulligan for in the deck doesn't really change from previous iterations, so you're looking to keep Platysaur, you're looking to keep Space Rock Collector, you're looking to keep Cultist Map. Sometimes you'll keep the Mauler depending on your hand. You're looking to keep the Dubious Purchase, and Phoenix has now got a bit more value behind it because you are sometimes needing to get a bit of extra chip damage into your opponent. Preparation also is quite good if you are have the Dubious Purchase in your hand. Going into the game, I am playing against a Quest Rogue, Quest Mage. A Quest Mage in general is going to be a bit of a slower archetype, so it is important to push extra damage against them. You'll need to make sure that you are trying to get your Moonstone Maulers out earlier rather than later, because if they end up getting this 7 mana spell, and then they end up getting the set your health to, hero to 40 health, it does mean that you're quite unlikely to win because you don't have as much damage output as you used to, especially without the giants. You'll notice that I did just use Dubious Purchase just then. It's important still with Cycle Rogue, even without the giants, that you are drawing through a lot of different cards, because it helps set you up for your Phoenixes, it helps get your Maulers ready to go online. It also helps to set up for your Blood Mage Thalnos, so you can push extra damage coming from the spell damage and the asteroids that come from it. Obviously, you still need to keep the hero in your deck, the Maestro, but in general, it's still not very playable, so you'll only play it down if there's a very odd occurrence for you. I used here the Cultist Map, and then I play down the Space Rock Collector, and then with the Space Rock Collector and then grabbing Incindius, I still do have a coin in my hand, so I'm going to use the O Manager here to help set up for the Incindius play for me, so it'll help get an extra Incindius shuffle into the deck. And with the Shadow Step as well, it means that I'll be able to shuffle an extra set of 5 into the deck as well for Incindius, so it's going to help with setting up damage against them in the later turns as well. They're currently up to 5 discovers with their quest, so it's quite likely they'll be able to get the weapon online either this turn or next turn, so it will be this turn. So it will obviously be a little bit tricky in terms of making sure that I am able to get set up. So I do need to make sure that I'm starting to push more damage towards them, just so then they don't end up getting too much extra value coming from the weapon. Their quest is now activated, and now they're playing down the weapon, so they're not really doing any extra things this turn, so it is a bit of a draw and a pass turn. And I'm going to be doing a pretty similar sort of play. So I'm playing Incindius down, I'm using the Shadow Step on Incindius, and then I'm just sending the 2 damage face with my Space Rock Collector, and then I'm just passing the turn over them. I could have potentially played the Wisp down that turn. It wouldn't have been a terrible play, because I already do have the second Wisp in my hand, but obviously it doesn't matter too much, since they did use the malfunction to clear that 2-1 that's on the board, so it would have been a wasted Wisp that's there. And Wisp being a 0 mana card, it doesn't really matter if you use when you use it, because of the fact that you will be able to play it at any time. They use the Photon Cannon here. It does push a little bit extra damage from them, so that was through their Discover. I'll play down the next Incindius, then just pass over to them. It puts an extra bunch of eruptions into the deck, and then the Incindius is now buffing up all the eruptions that are in the deck, so I have 20 damage worth of eruptions sitting in there at the moment, which is quite good. They use the Rising Waves here, so it does get to the point where it's able to clear my Incindius, especially after they've used the malfunction, but that leaves them just on 2 mana just to clear my Incindius, which is perfectly fine because of the fact that now I am setting up to go into the later turns in the later part of the game. They end up using their quest, their Discover with the Tide Pools. It doesn't really get too favorably for them. They use the Moonblast onto me, so it puts me down to 23 health. I'm not really in a position of losing at the moment, which is fine. And I did just use the Cultist Map then, because I'd rather the Cultist Map get burnt than the Dubious Purchase, since I draw an extra card using the Dubious Purchase. I end up getting into the Phoenix here, which is good, so I just play the Wisp down and then I play the Phoenix down. It helps set up for later turns for me. I do obviously have the Web of Deception in my hand as well, and the prep, so I'll be able to use that to play with my Moonstone Mauler when I eventually draw into it. So they end up hitting a few different cards here. They've hit their spells. They are going to draw some extra cards. They've got the repackage. So they're now shuffling 2 sets of repackages into my deck. And they don't really end up doing too much with that play that's there. I play down both the Web Weavers here because now I am at the point where I can probably push through most of my deck. I use the repackage box here just because it allows me to get access to those minions that I've already played down, and it'll help me draw some extra cards. I hit a few eruptions by the looks of it. I've got a Shadow Step there as well. Another eruption, which is good. I've got the Platysaur coming into my hand too, which is fine. The Moonstone Mauler obviously is quite good for me, so I can play it down. I can use the Shadow Step on the Moonstone Mauler and then play it back down again. Obviously it helps set up for next turns for me. I draw into another Moonstone Mauler. I've got the Eat the Imp as well. With the amount of cards that are in my deck, it now is at the point where I can just use my different cards to be able to play down onto them. I use the Web of Deception here just to be able to take out the... I use the Web of Deception to be able to get my Moonstone Mauler back, but then I use the Eat the Imp as well to be able to get rid of them. I used it in that order as well to make sure I could draw the maximum amount of cards, just in case that if I do end up overdrawing, your asteroids and your eruptions don't end up activating, so it is important that you do have the clearance that's there. So as you can see, it ended up getting lethal. The deck obviously still does have a bit of power, but it would have been nice obviously with the Giants, but in that game especially, the Giants wouldn't have really mattered because of the fact that they got to their spells, they got to their quest at around turn 5, which is around when you get your Giants, and that's then the break point where they'd be able to then usually get something to be able to block it. So yeah, I end up doing a full mulligan here. Once again, I am looking for cards that will help me draw other cards or 1-mana minions, which are usually quite good. The Space Rock Collector is fine to be able to use on the first turn. I do obviously have the Moonstone Mauler as well now, which is quite good. And I have the Web of Deception if I do need to push some extra damage. The opponent is playing a Quest Hunter, so it's important that I am thinking of how I can play around that. I play down the Moonstone Mauler here, and I just pass over to them. And then I pass the turn over to the opponent. So at the moment, having the asteroids in the deck will be quite useful because since they're using the quest deck, it's more likely that they're going to be going on curves. They won't be creating a wide board. So it'll make the asteroids more effective, so they'll hit the minions that I need them to, or the targets that I need them to. I end up hitting 2 asteroids, which was quite lucky, and I do hit the Platysaur, and the Platysaur lands on the Dubious Purchase, so I'm just going to use the Web of Deception on it, just so then I do have access to the Dubious Purchase again, because obviously it is quite an important card to be using in these matchups. With the 2-1 and the 4-4 on the board, I am going to be using them to go quite aggressive into the opponent. Playing down the 7-5, it does mean they can trade into me quite well. Drawing into the prep does allow me to get Dubious Purchase online, which will allow me to have access to more cards or more mana in the later turns, which will be obviously useful. I play down the Platysaur here just to try and draw an extra card. I do draw into the Wisp, so I just slam that down, and then I use my hero power to hit into them. I could have used the O Manager that turn if I really wanted to, but it doesn't really matter too much because I am just trying to push as much damage as I can. With the O Manager, I potentially may need it to trade into a minion on their board if they end up getting a lifesteal minion, and that obviously can be used quite well with Backstab to then be able to get the extra damage push that I need. They played on the King Mookla here, which is perfectly fine for me. I've got the Space Rock Collector here as well. And then obviously the bananas I can play down too. So I end up playing the Space Rock Collector down, and I put the bananas onto my 4-4 to turn into a 6-6, which will mean that they'll need to trade quite well into me. I hit the Platysaur into their face and then I use Shadow Step. This allows me obviously to get more use of the Platysaur and draw an extra card, but it also deals the extra damage that's there. I draw into the Blood Mage Thalnos, and I do use the Backstab here just into the 5-6. I don't have any real good way of trading into it still, so I just go face with the other minions, and I use my weapon swing as well to go face. With the Blood Mage Thalnos, it does allow me to have extra access to extra damage, which will obviously be quite useful into the later turns. I didn't want to discard it if they hit into my Platysaur, so it was important obviously to play that down. They end up using the 3-2 to be able to get the buffs onto their 2 beasts that are here. The King Mookla getting Wind Fury is a little bit challenging for me because it is going to be obviously be able to trade quite well. They end up using it to trade into my Platysaur. Since I already played the card down, obviously it's fine for me. But them getting the lifesteal does make it a little bit tricky for me because they will obviously get extra health back. They use the King Mookla to trade into my 6 damage minion, and then they trade the other minion into it as well. I use the Cultist Map here first, just to be able to see what I end up getting. I get another Platysaur here, so I do play that down. It allows me to cycle through 2 extra cards, which will obviously be quite strong. And I do draw into the prep here, which is quite good for me, because the Platysaur it'll be a free play for it. I draw into the Moonstone Mauler, which is obviously quite good. And I do play that down to be able to get access to the next set of cards. With my Blood Mage Thalnos on the field, it is dealing extra damage to them as well. I do end up drawing into Web of Deception and Eat the Imp, so I am going to hold that for next turn for the O Manager play that's there. For the Wisp play that's there if I need to. I end up getting an extra coin, which is obviously quite good. I could go for the Incindius play if I really need to, but it is a little bit risky if they use a beast and then get lifesteal on it, which quite a lot of beasts do have with the lifesteal and rush. So it obviously is important that I am trying to finish the game off quicker. They end up playing their Niall. It does get them the extra Discover card, which is fine, but obviously it's quite unlikely they are going to get the quest off this game. With the O Manager and the asteroids, I should more than likely have enough damage that I need to anyway. They end up playing down the quest, and even with just the damage that's on the board, I have the 1, 2, and then +2 for the Mauler, and then an extra 1 for the Platysaur, plus my weapon has lethal anyway, so I just push the damage that's there. There's no point holding up the game at all. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I really do appreciate it, and bye for now.